Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the 82nd edition of the Home Theater Hub with my co host, Ike, and a new guest, Mr. Tony on Tech. What's going on, Tony?
Hello, hello, hello. How you gentlemen doing?
Very good. Very good.
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Definitely. We appreciate you joining. So, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the show, but usually we just go around and talk about our week that we've had. I know the audience doesn't know you, or maybe they do. Hopefully they do. Tony actually runs a YouTube channel, Tony on Tech, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But Ike, how was your week, sir?
Good. Busy, but good. Spent the last 2 days just recovering from, I don't even know what I had, but I was tired. Didn't even get to work for the last 2 days.
Oh, wow.
So I spent most of the time sleeping and trying to get better. Let's see. Yeah, but not a lot. We were just talking in the green room, not a lot in terms of movies and the home theater and stuff, but I did some other fun stuff that we can talk about as we go into.
Good,
so.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were under the weather, so sorry to hear that. You feeling better now?
Yeah, I think I am. I probably just needed some break.
Yeah, I think we talked earlier in the week, but
yeah,
we hadn't talked, well, maybe just by text, but I don't think we officially talked. I talked to Chuck on the phone yesterday for a little bit. We were just chit chatting. He got back from his vacation too. Yeah.
Oh,
so
nice.
Talked to him for a little bit, but so not much for you on the home theater front then. But as far as movie watching, correct?
Yeah, as far as movie watching, I tried to watch Resident Evil, but it ended up watching me, so I was just like, turned it off.
You sound exactly like me. So I don't know. I told my wife, took my son up to bed 2 days in a row at like 9:30, and I'm just laying there and I'm restless and I can't go to sleep. And then I said, you know what? I hadn't been in the theater at all this week. Let me go down and try to watch a movie. So I go down and I put on what movie did I watch? I know I watched On Guard yesterday. Well, I watched like 30% of On Guard, and then the other 60 or 70% watched me like you. So, but from what I got, the surround sound was nice. The only thing I don't have my rear surrounds hooked up right now because I'm still working on blocking out the theater for the fabric.
Yeah.
I don't have the rear sounds and I don't have the 4 rear subs, but the 2 Monolith 15s, D215s or I don't know. I get them confused between the Perlis and model numbers, and
Yeah,
they're the dual 15s at the Monolith, and I have 2 of those. They were putting in some work, on the On Guard. So, I mean, it woke me up a couple times. So, but the movie itself, I wasn't expecting what the movie was about. To be honest with you, I thought it was going to be more like a kind of like a, I don't know, maybe like a karate type of film. Just from the name On Guard, I was thinking it was more, but it's about they're like superheroes, So I didn't realize that, and then but yeah, I'm gonna finish the movie because it definitely was some really good surround sound and stuff and bass in that one.
like
And
is
then
it the old one, the 1990 plus one, or is it
no,
the newer one?
the newest one on Netflix
They have
with
a new one on Netflix.
Charlize Theron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the part 2 coming out for that pretty
Yeah,
soon.
that's why I wanted to watch it, because I think it's like July 5th, 6th, or 7th, something like that. The new one's coming out.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because I know there's like an old school classic On Guard
okay.
movie from the late 90s. So
I think this one is Old Guard, isn't it? I think.
is it Old Guard or On Guard?
Might be Old Guard.
I
Could
think it might be
Guard.
old Guard.
Yeah, I think
it's
you're
Old
correct.
Guard. Okay.
Old Guard. Yeah, you're correct. I said
Okay.
On
The
Guard.
movie
My
I know
bad.
is On Guard, so I was thinking they must have done a remake or something.
See, that tells you how much of a sleep I was.
So you are on the Old Guard,
It's
so
the first
it's
time I watched that
okay.
movie.
Yeah. So, but watch that, and I remember the second one now. It's The Accountant 2,
Oh,
which I
you
probably
finally
watched
got to
about.
watch it?
I watched probably about 80% of that, so that was decent.
Yeah.
You know,
When
they
I
really
get to 80% of a movie, I consider it watched.
they really well, that one woke me up too with the gunfire and stuff like that, and then I was up. So I think I only slept for like 10 minutes of that one. But that one I watched, and it was they really dug into the character. I'm not sure if you saw the original accountant, but the original accountant has like autism, or he's like kind of like Rain Man, right? You know, really focuses in on stuff and stuff like that. But they really leaned into that a lot in this second one.
Yeah.
I don't think they leaned into it as much in the first one, but it was decent. It was a decent watch. So I would suggest to go ahead and, you know, it was on Paramount. So if you free on Paramount, if you want to call it free, you got to pay for the
Yeah.
subscription. Or was it Prime? Is it Prime or Paramount? It might
I
be
watched it
Prime.
on Prime. It might be on both,
Yeah,
but I
it's-
watched it on Prime a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. What did you think of it, Tony?
I'll ask both of you based on what you've watched. Do you think it should just end at number 2, or do you think there's going to be a number 3, or should they have a number 3? What do you think?
Don't think there'll be a number 3.
I
Okay.
don't think so either.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's yeah.
it didn't
good,
really.
though.
You know, I don't think they really tied together too much either. You know what I mean? It was like two different type of settings, right? You know, it did, at least from what I can remember. I don't think it tied together with from what I saw. Tony? Do you think the two tied together other than just the character?
I think it
No.
was a little bit more lighthearted, and they
Right.
kind of they not to spoil it for anybody, but you know they kind of explored the relationship between the brothers a little bit
Mhm.
more,
Right.
and it was a lot more lighthearted than the first movie. Like there was a lot more like laughs in it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and I think they could, if they wanted to, kind of do like an adventure of the two brothers, like third
Mhm.
iteration, but I don't think it'd be very good. Like it got almost too lighthearted. I think if they were to double down on that, it'd be a little
Right.
because the first one, the first account is actually one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So
But the story didn't connect, right? It was too.
different vibe.
You can watch the one without watching the other. You know what I'm saying? I think personally that you could, you know, you don't need to watch the first one to understand what's going on in the second one. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot this weekend.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's not bad. So, in honor of my buddy, he's not here today. We'll go ahead and
La Corona.
pop the top on the Corona
Salud.
for Mr. Paul.
Salute. He's all the way somewhere out in the mountains.
So, Mr.
riding
Paul,
around.
Mr. Paul's camping, riding around, doing something. He's the outdoor guy. So he reminds me of what's that? The RV with Robin Williams. I just think of him, you know, riding around in the mountainsides with like an RV and
Yeah.
having lots of problems.
Let's give a quick shout out. Everything Home Theater is in the chat. C Big is in the chat. Who else is
See
in
Big's
the
in the
chat?
house.
If you're in the
Nope.
chat, there's more of you. Drop a comment, something, so we know you're out there watching. We can
Definitely.
give you a shout out, but thank you all for joining us this week.
So how about you, Tony? You partake in anything in your theater for this week?
So I actually just got back from vacation. And actually, even though I did actually, I didn't watch something. I worked in the theater, right? So I think
Okay.
we're talking in the green room, so to speak. I just changed my front sound stage or the auditioning for speakers, and we ended up playing a clip from Top Gun Maverick, and the family approved. They don't spend much time in the theater, but they approved. We ended up watching the rest of the movie all the way to the end.
Nice.
So the speakers would definitely approve. So we watched that, and then I tidied up some wiring and whatnot. I think I watched like a part of something else, and then it started watching me, and I fell asleep, and then went to bed at 1 a.m.
I see. Yeah. I guess that seems to be the theme from this week. The movie's watching us, right? So, just putting hours on the projector that don't need to be on there.
Hey, at
Yeah,
least the projector is being used, man.
That is true.
exactly,
That is
The-
true.
exactly.
I was
But
looking at the hours on my projector. I was like, wow, I don't know if I should be impressed or if I should be disappointed. It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like I could sell the projector brand new. It's
there you go.
like less hours on it, but I need to do more. But take time to enjoy the theater and watch movies and yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So, like you talked about not watching any movies, but what do you got going on in the theater? What were you working on?
Yeah, so I've this is my fourth home theater build. And usually I'm not in the house more than like 2 or 3 years. I finished this theater, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago. Like I think the last thing I did was I upgraded speakers maybe 3, 4 years ago, but the room as it sits has been done for 8 or 9 years. I've never even been in the house that long up until now.
Okay.
So I found a good excuse to kind of rip it all out and start all over. So that's not fair. I'm going to rip a lot of it out and start partially over. So I changed my front soundstage. So I've got I've had for the past several years clips, reference premieres, and I decided to go with Focal. So I put Focal Vestia 2s as a front soundstage.
Nice.
Listened to those, and I liked them. So I ordered the rest of my bed layer and my Atmos speakers. So I'm going from a 7.2.4 to a 9.2.6.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's going to be a part of this process, and then I'm going to be not necessarily blacking out the room, but we'll be making it darker. And then my front sound stage, I've got a false wall and acoustically transparent screen, which I'm going to rip that out so I can accommodate a larger screen and go from a 120 to a 135, and then also spread my speakers out and get a little bit better separation. So not quite ripping everything out, but almost ripping everything out. So
Right.
Can you do a 150?
I can't do a 150, even if I go edge to edge. A 135 will get me maybe 3.5 to, depending on the screen, 3.5 to 5 inches of clearance on either side. And 150, I just
Because I have a 137 and I'm seriously looking forward to moving to a 150.
So I could.
Sounds like y'all could do a swap.
Yeah, if I flip my room,
know, right?
my room is narrower on this side. It's like 22 feet back here, but up there is like 13 or 14 feet. Because the room gets wider at the back. So I'd have to flip it and change my seating position and do everything. And I thought about that. But I'm not doing all that.
I don't know if you watch My Home Theater, Chris, but he's tearing his down all over again too.
I thought he reversed the decision.
So what happened was he was going to tear it down, put the equipment rack out in the garage, flip flop the screen for to be able to hide speakers where his rack is and stuff like that. But now I think he's going living room theater, so he's going to be making his from the last video I watched, he's going to be making an office in his home office in his theater for his soon-to-be wife because she works from home.
Okay, so I think I watched the most recent. So I think I think he reversed that decision, and then there was another video which I haven't seen, but yeah, but it's a never-ending process, man.
Yeah.
We all this theater and this damn thing. I try to run my subwoofers. I'm kind of moving things around, right? We talked about having the stack 15s in front and then moving the SVS to the back, and I tried to run the subwoofer cable from just right behind me somewhere because the cables go right in the closet to the rack. That was the most frustrating run I've tried ever. Like I couldn't even. Somehow it was just getting stuck somewhere. I'd go to the attic, I couldn't find the damn thing, and then try to pull it out, and it was just stuck. I left it there for 2 days.
You sound like Michael. I had to call Michael. I don't know if you saw Michael's video
I saw his video too. I was like,
he stuck the HDMI cable in there.
I was like, the only difference is Michael documented his. I was spending my time cursing, man, because I was pissed off, man.
Yeah, no, I had to call him. I'm like, Mike, you got to use this cable lube stuff, man, because I can tell you what, I ran Smurf tube everywhere, and you think, oh, you're just gonna push this wire right through the Smurf tube, no problem
Nah.
whatsoever. You got a 1-inch Smurf tube or 3/4-inch Smurf tube. All you're doing is putting like a 1/4-inch speaker wire through. Nope, it doesn't cooperate that easy. It twists
tangles,
itself
yeah.
and everything else in there, man. I mean, it's like, and if you try to pull more than one cable at the time, because I for my front stage, I pulled all three of my LCR cables at the same time, and they were the longest runs. They're about 75 feet, because they go up a 10-foot wall, a 20-foot back through a 20-foot, 21 or 23-foot room, then another 13 feet through my dining room. Then they go back down a 10-foot wall. Then they go over to the rack at about 10 feet. Then they go down, and then they go underneath the rack and back up into the rack. So they're about 75 feet of wire for each one of those.
You better be using 12 gauge wires, man.
I got 12 gauge. Like, every wire is 12 gauge. Yeah. Every wire is 12 gauge, whether it's 15 foot or I think my shortest run's probably around 20 feet, something like that. But yeah, they're all everything's all 12 gauge, and luckily I bought the wire a long time ago.
The prices now for wire is crazy.
I got 200. I was looking back. I got 250 feet of wire for $89. Now it's like almost $300 for Monolith.
I just bought the 500 for almost $300.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it is.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so
now I need to buy more cable for my project. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more expensive.
You might want to start buying them and like, I got loose change now. Just buy it and drop it, and then buy that one in 2 weeks.
So, what kind of subwoofer cable were you running?
The SES. They had sent me one for a review that I had all this time.
Okay.
And that's the one I was trying to run.
I love their cables, man.
That's the one I was trying to run. Cable. It was so frustrating, man. I was like, okay. And you know how I had to stop. Because sometimes when you get frustrated, you don't want to be in the attic trying to crawl around because you're going to
find the attic.
Yeah. So at some point I had to stop and just take a break. And
so
I might have to find an alternative solution. I don't know. But
are you using a fish tape or what are you using?
Yeah, I'm using one of those, the real one, the reels that you can push through and tape through.
Yeah. It's like in a circle and you just pull it out.
Yeah. So that's the one I was trying to use. But I think I'm running it through the closet that's just right behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm thinking when I pass it through, it's coming into my office instead of going, because the theater is right behind this door, right? So it's somehow going into my office and getting stuck somewhere into the roof. And it's just kind of difficult for me to crawl into this space in the attic. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I might have to pay someone to take that risk.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about paying someone too, because I put that that Velodyne, that stuff that Michael showed everybody a long time ago of how to black out like a window or whatever.
Yeah.
I bought some of that, but I bought a different brand. It was it has white on the front and black on the back, right? So the black faces the theater. And I put it up there and I cut it right along the edge of the window, because I have a rectangle window and then I have an arch window on top of the rectangle window. And when I cut it the first time, I just did one window and I cut it along the frame. Well, you could see the thickness of the actual razor blade of light coming through, which I didn't like that, right? So I said, all right, well, I'm just going to cut it a little bit wider and attach it to the window and allow it to the edge of it to go over the frame of the window a little bit.
Yeah.
I did that, and it would still peel a little bit. And then then I said, all right, I'm just going to get some black, like Gorilla tape, duct tape or whatever, and tape it to the frame. That's still peeling because I get a westerly sun that just cooks. I'm telling you,
Yeah, it will melt. It will melt whatever that Gorilla tape is used to help.
cooks the windows, man. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to call a tint company. So I called the tint company, said, can you black out the windows? They said, yeah, we can, but are they hurricane windows? I said, yep. They said, well, we can't black out your windows because the windows will explode because of the heat.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, okay. I said, well, what I'm using now kind of reflects the light, so it keeps the heat out and pushes it away. Can you come by and see if you can look at this? Well, she came by and she cut it. Same thing. Slit, light coming through around all the edges. And I'm like, man.
Just put a curtain back there, man.
Yeah, that's what I told my wife. I'm probably just gonna have to put a curtain or something.
And that's why I have velvet curtain on my own windows, man. Just like
Well, I thought about it. I can maybe if I may just get them to reinstall everything, tear it down and reinstall it. That way it'll at least adhere to the window and won't come off. And then what I might do is just take like some black silicone that could be scraped off with a razor blade.
And that way the Flex Seal, like the you use like some of that Flex Seal stuff.
Yeah, something that could be scraped off later on if I ever decide to change the room into something else. Or my wife keeps trying to take it over as a sunroom because we got one window here, two windows here, and four windows in the front. So when I don't block those out, she likes sitting in there with the sun and everything else. But
like my 3-year-old will say, idea. You just got an idea here.
I'm going to put some reflective rigid foam panels. Yeah, so my HOA is very, very particular.
They want to be able to see what's going on outside your window.
So I had white blinds up, right? That would, so that's why I went with the white backing of the other stuff, of the static material. And that way, okay, it was white blinds before. It's going to look white. It's going to look exactly the same, right? It's just going to look white. So, but yeah, unfortunately, I live in a community that literally drives by on a golf cart and tries to pick stuff out on your house that, because they have nothing better to do. They don't have jobs. They just ride around on golf carts and look for
there's
stuff.
A window right behind me right here, and I've got the white film on the glass, completely opaque, and the white blinds are still there, and then I have 2 layers of curtains on top of that.
Okay. Yeah, that I think that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. Just buy some, which I need some sound treatment back there anyway. So I was thinking, even if I just go ahead and cut it and let the gaps and then put the silicone around it, then I was thinking I can get, because I was talking about, in my business, I'm in pest control. We do a lot of the Regal Cinemas. We do a lot of the AMCs and stuff like that. We do their pest control. And they have a thick, like, curtain that goes from floor to ceiling of absorptive material behind the screen. So it's probably 2 inches thick and it just hangs and it moves. So I was thinking if I do that, obviously then you won't see anything behind the windows either at that point too. But eventually I'm probably worrying about it too much because eventually all that back portion is going to get stuffed with, absorptive material anyway. So I'm probably overthinking it now. But
yeah, focus on the big stuff. You got plenty of big stuff to eat the frog and stop worrying about the termites. Well, they're both dangerous, but you get what I'm saying.
You can't tell somebody in the pest control business they're not worried about the termites.
But eat the frog. Focus on the big stuff, Yeah. So Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How did you get into this crazy rabbit hole of a hobby that we call home theater?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been into like technology stuff. When I was a kid, I used to like build robots and planes and just weird stuff. I was the only child, and I was a nerd, so I was in the tech stuff. And then when I got my driver's license, I became a car guy. So I was in the cars, and then just like most of us in the cramming big speakers in the back of your cars. And for a little while, I had a performance parts business, and I sold car stereos, and I did installs and things like that. So I'd always been into the kind of car audio thing. And when I bought my first house, I remember going into a Home Depot Expo. They were only around for a short while, but it was like a high end showroom for Home Depot. And that was my actual first experience with a home theater. I walked into, they had like 3 dedicated theater rooms, like 20 grand up to like 100 grand, or probably like 50 grand back then. This was 1999, 2000. And I walked in my first home theater, and I was like, holy crap, I didn't know this existed. I want this in my house. And then from there, I got bit by the bug. My first home theater system was a Panasonic theater in a box from Walmart, and with a 5-disc DVD changer. And then from there, I just kind of experimented with different setups, and built my first kind of dedicated theater with a CRT, furniture tube TV, or not tube TV, like a rear projection TV. Then got my first projector, so on and so forth. And then, I've over the years I've moved, and every home I've always had a home theater, and I've just kind of upgraded them over time. That's kind of a long story short.
Yeah.
Yep, it's always crazy, right? How we all get started, and you think, oh, what I'm doing is crazy, and then you realize it gets worse.
Oh yeah,
you keep
I remember
moving.
my what I thought was my first big boy home theater. I bought an Onkyo theater in a box from Circuit City, and I think I might have spent like $700 or $800, and I felt like sick to my stomach that I spent so much money on some speakers and a receiver. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much money. This is more money than anyone's ever spent in the history of speakers. Little did I know, right? But that was like kind of my first upgrade, and I was like, wow, this sounds really good, but I wonder if I could get it sound better, right? So yeah, it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, and I think that's just I don't know if I'll call it the sad thing, is there's always room for improvement.
Yes.
And typically that's supposed to be a good thing, but I think in this hobby, it's a dangerous thing. It's like, no matter how good you get it, right? It's like, wow, what's the next thing?
Marginal gains are a killer, right? You just
Yeah.
gotta figure out what your happy place is. Like, what you're trying to accomplish for you and not for anyone else. And then, just kind of be happy with that thing and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and also don't allow yourself to be able to test and try things out. If you get to try things out, you will realize that there's plenty of good stuff out there.
Sure.
If you're kind of in a cocoon, right? I'll use the example, the video processor, the Lumigen, right? I recently got that in for review, been reviewing it, and after over a month, I'm like, man, do I need to go back and rewatch just about every movie that I may have watched, because that stuff is really good.
Yeah.
So it's like, I probably wouldn't know if I didn't sit in the theater and try it. But once you get exposed to certain things, you start asking yourself, I think that's kind of what creates that itch too, is you go out, you see something in a show, or you visit someone's house, and then you think your focals are good, and then you go see a different type of the same brand of speaker, and you're like,
Yeah,
I need this.
Yeah. Speaking of Lumigen, I was just thinking about Sammy. Sammy mentioned that he might be coming my way in July. So,
Yeah.
Sammy, let me know. Let me know if you're coming this way, because definitely want to get you to come in and dial everything in for me, the Lumigen and the projector. So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, actually. So I think my projector, I went through some settings with a couple of different people, but I think my projector it's just not sharp enough. It's just not. It seems to be a little soft.
See, creating imaginary problems.
So
the NZ800, NZ8, or was it NZ9?
NZ8,
NZ8 is not sharp enough.
I mean,
I gotta get the NZ900.
No, I think it's just from
that 10% sharpness that I need.
I think there's something that I have maybe in the Lumigen not set up right, or something like that. So I haven't messed with it a whole lot other than just followed the
Yeah, the
I just
manual,
followed
the instructions.
the you know the PowerPoint that Jim has, but I'm sure there's I'll play around with it now and then. I'll mess around because with the Lumigen, there's if you press the left arrow button, it'll bring up the automatic tone mapping, and you can on the fly adjust it, right? So I'll mess with that a couple times just to see if I can how bright I can get it, and still have a nice black floor. But yeah, no, the Lumigen it definitely does a good, the colors are popping. I just think I'm just missing just maybe it's a panel alignment thing, maybe it's something like that I just need to maybe do a individual because I know I didn't granularly adjust every panel.
Yeah.
I only did the big picture adjusting the panel, when you're lining up the lines on the projector, but you can do individual panels, so
See, that's the rabbit hole we're talking
Mhm.
about, right?
Exactly.
I think we jumped from even the rabbit hole. It's now a raccoon hole. It's like it's just deeper and messier and just like you don't even know what is out there. It's dark.
So Tony, tell us about your YouTube channel here. I got it pulled up here. Tony on Tech. Those of you that don't know Tony, make sure you go over to his channel and subscribe for him, and check out some of his videos. Tony, I'll be honest with you, you don't see any red bars under here because, to be honest with you, I didn't know about your channel, but I look forward to viewing some of your content.
No, I appreciate it. It's a relatively newer channel. I've been doing YouTube for about a year now. So I am into a lot of stuff, most things technology, related. And I've had people, over the years, like, man, you need to do a YouTube channel. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I don't have time for all that stuff. I don't really want to do that. But then I find myself, people would ask me like, hey, I want to get in the smart home. I want to get in home automation. I want to do this. I want to do that. What do you recommend for this? What do you recommend for that? So I figured I would just, as I'm doing stuff around my house, or wherever, I would just capture, break out the camera, and capture it and just share that with folks. Actually kind of enjoying it, right? The like learning how to, mess with camera equipment and editing videos and all that other stuff. It's actually been pretty fun. I think I'm getting a little bit better at it, so it's kind of fun, just like getting better at a home theater or improving your theater. Kind of messing with YouTube has been fun as well. So catching a little bit of traction. I'm by no means a career YouTuber. I have no intent on doing that. I have way too many other things I do outside of YouTube. But I did commit to sticking with YouTube for fun and sharing my shenanigans that I get into. Now, unfortunately, I mentioned the house I'm in. I've remodeled it like really remodeled. I've done a lot of projects over the past decade. Remodeled 5 bathrooms, laid 4,000 square feet of flooring, built a wine cellar. I built a home theater, which I'm now rebuilding. So a lot of cool projects that people wish I would have documented. And that's just what I'm going to do as I move forward, right? As I tinker around my house, in my garage, or wherever, I'll capture it, share it on YouTube, and hopefully people enjoy it.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I look forward to checking out some of your content here. And I like that it's not, 100% home theater. You it looks like it says it's tech, right? So you got a robot vacuum, you got AirPods, you got travel packs for traveling and garage stuff. Yeah, I definitely some content here that I want to partake in.
I appreciate that.
I got to check out this toaster for sure.
Yeah, don't buy that toaster. Yeah.
You should have let him watch it first and then buy it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty clear in that video to not buy. So that toaster, there were people with like, 1 million views on that toaster, that they were getting it sent for review. I bought that toaster, tried that toaster, and I returned that toaster, and I was very honest about it. So that's one thing I like about, what I do in YouTube. I've had a couple products sent to me here and there, but I've done no sponsored videos, and I think even if I ever get to a point where I will, I'm going to be honest, right? Like with that toaster, it was cool, a touchscreen toaster. It looks cool, but don't buy it. It sucks. Like I said, it's just kind of my journey and things
What
I
did it
do.
do? Burn your bread?
No,
Like,
there's
how can a toaster possibly
I know
stop?
it burned some bridges, is what it burned.
it burned some bridges with me. So there's a YouTube short where like I have it was like right around Halloween. I had like an eerie music to it. Like the toaster, it's supposed to instead of popping up, it would like gently raise your toast. Right, it's pleasant, but it would raise the toast and then would pull it back down. Like now, and it would like play a game of keep away with me with my toast, and then like half the toast would be toasted and the other half was untoasted.
Oh
So
my goodness.
you know,
You were probably supposed to raise your glass to the toast, and you didn't do that. So it came
yeah, I
over.
raised the box to the post office man and said, "Hey, I'm sending this back." So,
Oh,
That's
man.
too funny. Now I'm definitely gonna go watch this video. Oh man.
Holy crap.
So don't buy that toaster for sure.
don't buy the.
I think I saw that
Revolution.
toaster on TikTok too.
It was everywhere, cash grab, because a bunch of influencers were getting it sent. I bought mine, $400 out of pocket. So
Ooh.
I gave you the real.
Yeah, I think for $400, if he wants to play toaster Uno with me, I'm sending it back too. Reverse, no reverse.
My wife wanted to keep it because she thought it was cool, and I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a cool 400 down the drain. Yeah, it's
I like technology, but I like things that like work.
at least
I don't
work. Yeah, don't burn my bread and don't eat it either.
Too funny, too funny.
Yeah.
So what you mentioned about car stereo and stuff like that, but what was your factor to say, all right, I'm gonna build a home theater? What gave you that deciding point that said, you know what, I think my family needs a home theater, or I need a home theater? What did you go to somebody's house? Did you go to Best Buy or anything like that? What was your deciding factor for that?
So I mean, when I bought my first house, I didn't realize I was handy. I'm actually really really handy. I've got some pretty significant bills that I've done for myself and other people. But at that time I was like, I got my first miter saw, right? A $75 tradesman miter saw that I freaking ran the wheels off that thing. But I enjoyed building stuff. I enjoyed technology. I enjoyed it, just watching a movie at home. Quite honestly, I never really liked watching movies in a theater. I just never enjoyed the experience. And people are like, oh, certain movies I'll go to the theater. I'll do that just for like building memories with my son. But I think like the separation and the immersion in a home theater, a little bit more of like an intimate cocoon, rather than like a big commercial theater, is just so much better. And then the process of building it, setting it up, kind of tweaking it, getting it right, that was fun, right? So when I saw what could be done in the house, and then I committed to doing it myself, and then I kind of built my first one. I built my second theater was like the first like kind of real theater that like had lighting. I had a old Marantz, the big touchscreen remote control from like forever ago. I started to get into home automation, and automating my lights and kind of doing macros, and just that whole process, right? Like getting everything set up and getting it dialed in just the way you want it. Is I enjoy that. You could probably say I like the process more than like the end result, because I have, we talked about in the green room, I have, currently my 7.2.4 in here. I've got Sonos, a variety of Sonos surround sound in maybe 4 or 5 different rooms. I've got a 2-channel and a 5.1 in my home office. I've got a Martin Logan set up with a Yamaha Avantage receiver. That's a 5.2.4 in my family room. And I'm forgetting a system somewhere. So I have just like kind of setting stuff up and tinkering. It's fun to me, and then enjoying it is also fun, right? So that's kind of what got me into and what's kept me into it, because I enjoy like planning stuff out and then seeing it through to the quote unquote end, which we know there's never really an end.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So there's never like an aha moment for you that says you went to a buddy's house, or you went to the movie theater and said, this is more just to satisfy your your need to tinker and more to mess with the gear and everything else like that.
Yeah, that was that. Like to my previous point, Home Depot Expo. I actually
Mhm.
get to sat down like in a demo theater. That's the first demo theater I sat in. And I sat in many others after that over the years that weren't particularly great. Some that were good, some were bad. I'm like, I could do better. My system sounds better. But that was like the initial spark, right? Because I up until that point, I didn't even know that that type of home theater, like a truly dedicated home theater. Up until that point, I didn't even know it existed. Right? I thought people just had like big TVs and
Yeah.
and the big wood panel speaker boxes that my mom had with a record player when I was a kid. I didn't realize that true home theater and what we define it as was a thing. But after I saw my first one, which was that experience, I was hooked.
Yeah, definitely. So, what talk to me about your room now? What do you what's the dimensions of your room, and what like area of your house is it in?
Yeah, so my house is a two-story, but the upstairs is kind of segmented. So the room I'm in right now, I guess you call it a bonus room. It's above the garage and it has a separate staircase going to it, right? So you go up the stairs, it's like a Y staircase. One side goes to the rest of upstairs with the other bedrooms and what have you, and bathroom, and then another staircase comes in this room that I'm in right now. So it's pretty isolated from the rest of the house. And it's equivalent to the size of a two-car garage, except for the little bump out here where the staircase is. So it's approximately 21 and a half by about 18, 19 feet. But on that end, it's probably, I think I said 13, but it's probably like 16 feet on that side because we've got the staircase here.
Okay.
It's roughly about 350 square feet and 10-foot tall ceilings.
10 foot tall. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we'll get a chance to take a look at that here shortly. So, those of you that don't know, we have a home theater hub chat on Facebook that we partake in. It's not active every single day, but every now and then we'll post pictures of what's going on in our theaters, and we'll post maybe even somebody else's theater or just pictures of something new that's come out or whatever. We have discussions. So today we Ike posted a picture of something that he was messing with in his theater. Ike, are you able to elaborate on that, or do you want to hold off on that?
Yeah, I can. I thought you were about to show a video of it.
Oh
I
no.
was like, what
No,
is he
I
talking
don't.
about?
I didn't. So, elaborate on what you're working on over there.
Oh yeah, so it's the I'm currently reviewing the SVS Ultra Evolution Titans, the tower speakers, and
Very
it's
nice.
first impression, it's really good. Now I haven't, doubted it or anything like that, but just set it up and now sitting with the wife and just listening to some music and you know, in-room speaker. I know it's kind of stirred up a conversation, right, with in-room speakers versus in-wall speakers and things like that. And I'm impressed. It reminded me what I was kind of missing with having entirely in-wall speakers in the theater. And it's that piano white is actually a very beautiful color, man.
It's very
Yeah.
nice.
So those are the ones you're reviewing, right? According to the picture that you sent, at least, right? So
Yes, that's the one. I have a pair of them, and when I found out it was the white, I was like, I don't know. And then I unboxed that sucker, and I was like, wow,
dude, I love my Martin Logan white speakers.
that
I
stuff
love
looked
them.
good. Like the pictures don't do it any justice.
I've got the Micro 3000 in that white finish.
Yeah.
In my office, and I love it. It's beautiful. It's hidden. It's under a chair, and I'm like, I wish I could put it someplace front and center. It looks so nice.
Yeah, it is. It is beautiful. The first thing my wife asked me was, "Are you sending this back? Can they go downstairs?" That's someone who's told me, "I don't want any speakers downstairs. Upstairs is just for you." And now she's like, can these go downstairs? I'm like, oh, really?
Wife approval factor.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah,
man.
that's the wife approval factor with just, with just the way it looks. It's well designed in such a way, just aesthetics, right? We're not talking about the technical, all that stuff. But
right.
with the aesthetics, it just will fit into a living room space or,
Yeah, I
just,
mean, I've showed you pictures of my whole setup. We have like a white lacquer console underneath of where underneath of where my 75-inch TV is, and then I have two floating white lacquer shelves, and then a white lacquer cabinet where I keep my movies and remotes and stuff like that, and all that's free hanging on the wall. They look like floating shelves and floating cabinets, and I had my white Martin Logans in there, and I'm telling you what, man, they just went so well. It really did, and eventually I'm probably going to buy. I'm thinking about the B&Ws, the bookshelves, to put on top of my console,
yeah.
along with the center channel. But in white lacquer also. So, but it'll be a little bit smaller for that area. But yeah, I love the white speakers. My eye is always drawn to them. Siphonic Joseph, he says, I wish it was satin, not gloss. But yeah, so I mean,
Yeah, the gloss might be a little bit, with reflection in a dark room and things like that, right? But I tried them in the theater, right? And just the light output hitting the screen, and that there wasn't that much because that was the first thing I was trying to notice. Like, okay, the all white just sitting in front of your projector screen, would there be much of a distraction? No, really. They sound really good for you to just get engulfed in whatever you're watching, right? So, yeah, it's good. So I'm looking forward to just. I'm already working on the review and just initial impressions, and I like them so far. I like the magnetic whatever cover is actually designed well. There's a couple of impressive things that SVS has done here. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with you posting that picture, it definitely sparked up some conversation, right? So, I'm trying to pull up that conversation here, and basically it was, you had said that they sound really, they're impressive, and I said they do sound good because I actually heard them at the Florida Audio Expo when they first came here, and then I think they were also at M-Wave, if I can remember. I believe they were there. I have to go back. I have to go
think
back to
so.
my pictures too.
I'm not sure which ones exactly because there's three of the Ultra Evolutions, right? I'm not sure which of them because this is the middle of the line. There's the bigger, the Pinnacle, and then there's the small brother of this one. So I'm not sure which exactly they brought, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but they were definitely there. I'm looking at my pictures now, but they were in black there. Um, but yeah, so it definitely sparked a conversation because I said, you said they're impressive, and I said they do sound good. And then I said, somebody asked you, do you want to abandon your in walls? And I said, no offense, but towers are going to sound better than any in wall. And then that then brought up a conversation, right? So, in my experience, if we're talking, let's just say we're talking per listen tower to per listen in wall. In my experience, my thoughts is that the tower is going to sound, or has sound, and every comparison when I've went to certain places and I've listened to the in wall versus the tower does portray a little bit, obviously a deeper end, right? Because a lot of these speakers are got a back on them, and they're not. And as one person mentioned, that the in wall speakers are using the full stud bay, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's the reason that I actually purchased bookshelves rather than in walls, because the bookshelves just sounded that much better than the in walls.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, I think, for in-wall speakers, I think there's a lot more that might need to go into the design, right, of a room when you're using entire in walls, because even though you're using the baffle, right, what if you have this space that just goes into an attic, right, and everything is just traveling into the attic, and then look at how many woofers are on that damn thing.
right.
There is no in-wall that, except you going for the really, really high end, right?
Yes.
That is going to give you multiple HN woofers, or, as many as you might be able to get on a floor standing speaker, but everything boils down to design, and everything boils down to price point, right?
Right.
If you're looking at in-wall speakers that cost just about the same as this, for example, the floor standing we're looking at, then my expectation might be a little higher. But if you're telling me that in my room with my cheap monolith speakers, that if I have the same number of these floor standing speakers, and there's a way that I can get my monoliths to sound better than these, I'll be so disappointed.
Right.
I will be really, really disappointed, right? I would expect that with the same amount of speakers, right? I have 9 dots with the same. If you gave me 9 of them in the same room with the monoliths, or even other ranges of speakers, it would be more of a disappointment if the monoliths or the in-wall speakers just completely outclass. But I think it's debatable, and I guess I have it in the room now. I'm going to test it out, but I don't have the complete set. I'm just going to test.
I think the
my
next
left
thing
and
for
right.
you to do is to reach out to Hobie and try to get some of his monolith towers in there. That way you can directly compare, because they're using the same driver, right? So maybe we can get Monolith to get you some tower speakers, and we can compare, right? Not that your monoliths are bad, because listen,
No, they're not bad. They're actually very
right.
equable.
I'm
Yeah,
just
they're
saying
good.
that me personally, I think that the towers sound better, right? So, and Big Jack, him and Siphonics got some good points here, but because you can't, the in walls, unless they're at 90 degrees, you can't get them to face directly at you, right?
Yeah.
But I have seen in a lot of home theater applications to where people will,
if you build the walls right,
angle
you
their
can angle
walls.
them.
Yeah, you can angle the wall correctly towards you. Your center will be firing right at you. You can angle the wall, or you can make a cutout somehow, or Tony, you talk about being handy, and Seabig. Seabig's a woodworker. I mean, he does build cabinets and all kind of stuff. So there is a way that you can make them slant towards you permanently, like kind of like Big Jack saying that you have to design the wall with a permanent slant. But
Yeah.
and then they will push you. But one of the things that was also brought up in the conversation earlier was that, hey, 2-channel wise, we're definitely agreeing that, if you're not using a sub, that the towers are probably 100% going to sound better than an in wall, right? Because for the most part, if you buy the bigger tower with the 8-inch woofers, or at least the 6.5s and then multiple 6.5s, you're going to get a lot lower end for the most part than you would out of, so the question is just like the old thing is, do you need 8-inch subwoofers, or 8-inch woofers in a speaker for a home theater when your subwoofer is going to be taking over from 80 hertz, 90 hertz,
Yeah.
100 hertz, 120 hertz, right? So that's the question. But to me, as an overall sound, I've always when I've compared them in walls versus the actual towers, I just thought that the sound was better coming from the towers. Now, if you notice, when Abe's on here, he's never talking about putting towers behind the screen, right? They're all in walls. If you look at all the high end theaters that are being built, they're all in walls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I always say many of the award-winning theaters that we see, right, just globally, mostly, although there's a lot of that has to do with aesthetics and not just one-for-one speaker measurement and things like that. But I went into in-walls as more of a skeptic, right? And that's why I went with the monolith. It's like, okay, I'm going to go in-wall and buy really cheap speakers so that if I have to go back, because then it was in the middle of the pandemic and Arendelle was the thing, right? And it was so back ordered that I just couldn't wait 6 months, right? So it's like, okay, I'm just going to get cheap in-wall speakers. And then if they don't work, I don't feel like I spent $1,000 on some in-walls and now I don't like in-walls, right? And then, I got them dialed in with Joe and even Paul, and a couple of people have dialed them in and just like, wow, okay, how much did you buy this again? And they sound really good, and I've had the opportunity to go listen to a bunch of other home theaters, and there's only maybe a handful where I came back and I was like, oh yeah, there's like almost a 30 to 40% difference. But those were really high ends, home theaters,
right,
driven with powerful amps and processors, right? But most of the other ones are just like, okay, yeah, it's good. Obviously, it's still a budget friendly speaker, and I shouldn't expect much from it. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's price to performance and just making sure you're not comparing apples to oranges.
yeah. So Symphonics, when I was talking about high end theaters, I meant home theaters, right? So for the most part, they're designing the high end home theater. Yes, AMC, IMAX, Regal, they're not using in walls at
Oh
all.
yeah, not movie watching
Yeah.
theaters. We're talking about dedicated home theaters.
Dedicated home theater. So Tony, what is your thoughts? Have you had experience with we haven't seen your setup yet. So obviously you just talked about buying the new Focals, which are, they're a tower speaker, right? So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this?
So I think the other part of the equation is positioning, right? Like, so I currently I'm sitting at, I built this little bar top behind my main seating position. I mean, 2 years ago, I built this table, this counter. And I realized another dimension that I was missing of my setup, because so I've got my SB 16s and my two 9U racks underneath, like the cabinet that I built underneath my screen. So the base of my screen is 20 something inches off the ground, which means my towers sit 27, 28 inches off the ground. And even though I have like a little wedge behind the screen to kind of angle them down and tow them in, when I sit back here, there's like a whole nother dimension of my speakers that, because I'm elevated and I'm at a more appropriate height, I was missing all of that because the sound is going over my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where with in walls, because they're meant to go kind of middle of the wall, right? And you can adjust it to your seating position more so than you can with an acoustically transparent screen in the false wall like I have. Cabinets are meant to be on the ground, right? Like just point blank, period. So it just depends on your application, right? So I think a less expensive speaker, better positioned, will sound better than a better speaker in a poor position.
Yeah, always.
1000% agree with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you're comparing apples to apples, let's say that there's a in-wall version of this SVS.
Yeah.
And we put it in the wall right beside.
It's not going to outperform.
Right.
It's not going to. So if you ask SVS, like, hey, what did you make this cabinet out of? Right? They're going to say, birch or some high density MDF because they're not going to use. Okay, well, what's my wall made out of? 2x4s or tin 2x4s, if which will be even worse, and 5/8 or half-inch drywall, right? Like
Right.
you wouldn't build a speaker out of that, right? So that's an inbuilt compromise by putting a speaker in. No matter what you say, you're not going to build a speaker out of 2x4s and drywall, right? So you can, there's some good in-wall speakers. I've had many. I've got some in my house. But to your point, if you had the option, you just can't beat a purpose-built cabinet, speaker built in a cabinet, right? The cabinet is designed and tuned as far as like the volume, the speaker positioning, all of that is designed and tuned to maximize the efficiency of that setup. Your wall is not, right? But again, you can have good in walls. I don't think it can hold a candle though to a good speaker in a cabinet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and Aaron's done some measurements, Aaron's Audio Corner. He's done some measurements as best that he could. He built the baffle wall, and I mean, he went ahead and was swapping in walls out, and comparably to what he didn't do an actual, bookshelf versus the in wall, which I would love for him to do, but comparably, some of the in walls were okay, some of them were not. There were some brands that I thought that were going to perform very well, but did not. I'm not going to mention any of them. You can watch this video for them, but I thought they were going to be, fantastic, and the measurements that he took just weren't up to par. So, I get why we have in walls, and the question is, how much sacrifice are you actually making with an in wall? In a home theater. If you're using it as 2-channel, there's definitely some sacrifice there, right? And no subwoofer. You're not crossing it over. You're using it as, as 2-channel. But how much sacrifice is there if you're just using the mid-range and the tweeter, the same tweeter, right? Yes, there's still going to be some different sound because of the cabinet, like we talked about, 2x4 and drywall, and some people are even taking OSB and putting it in front of the drywall or behind the drywall, and making it more rigid that way. So Siphonics, people are talking about some good in-wall speaker brands here. Pro Audio Theory, they make great Wisdom Theory. And then one thing that's not on here is James also. James Audio makes a good in-wall also.
And also, if you look at the price point of those companies that you just mentioned, right? They're not the average in-wall speakers, right? You would expect a certain level of quality if you're charging me almost $4,500 per speaker for in-walls, right? So if you tell me that an in-wall, let's just say from Theory or from Wisdom, costs $3,500, and you say put it in a room and test it out with a $2,000 in-room speaker, then yes, my expectation is going to be a little higher for the in-wall because it's almost twice the price, of the in-room speaker, and it's built by a reputable company, right? Company that you can expect to do something really good. So my expectations would be higher in that sense. But if it's, if it's just the average in-wall speaker, probably won't expect much from it.
Yeah, but to your point around expectation, right? I think it's like what are you trying to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
And then so in my home office, my 5.1 is all in wall and in ceiling. Obviously a subwoofer is out and it's under a chair. And I've had people sit in that room and they're like, I said, well, all right, now let's go upstairs to the theater. And it can't possibly get better than this. And I'm like, well, yeah, actually it can. But they're blown away by that sound. And for that individual, right, if that was a home theater, they would be extremely happy with it, right? So I think it's also a matter of perspective. And for me, even if I got a free set of towers, just because what I'm trying to accomplish in my office, it's not worth the floor space, right? Like that wall, it's got rock wall. I reinforced I did like built-in boxes and sound treated them. Like I made those in walls perform as best as I could make them. But they're Klipsch $300-400 speakers, right? They're not super expensive, super high-end speakers, but for a home office, it's probably overkill. And got a really, really nice receiver. And like I said, I bring typical person in there. I'm like, hey, let's play Ready Player One, the race scene, and then they're floored, right? So again, at what point is good enough, and what's your expectation, and what's the balance versus what you need to accomplish, right? From a space constraint, from a aesthetics constraint. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that was the little conversation which I thought was nice on the channel today. Like I've been to all KEF reference in walls. I've been to theaters with every speaker being the reference speaker. I've been to KEF with the LCR being reference across the front, and then all the side surrounds being the step down, which is it's like the silver front plate. Beautiful. I mean, just gorgeous. Brooms, they sound fantastic. Not to take nothing away from the end walls or anything like that. We're not trying to do that. Just my personal opinion, that I think that the tower definitely outperformed the in walls, in at least to my ears, and everything's subjective, right? And again, I think it does come down to use case too. Right. What are you using it for? Are you using it for 2-channel? Are you using it for a home office? Are you using it for, critical listening? Are you using it for a theater? Right? Because we're going to cross over those speakers. If we're adding subwoofers, we're going to cross them over at a certain point. If you look at it, I have the Martin Logan 35 XTIs. I have them built into a cubby. They're rear ported. Everything is wrong in that particular. If you think about it on paper, everything is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. But when I cross them over and I don't let them play low bass, and I'm mainly using the mid range, and they're not using the port anymore, and they're just using the air motion tweeter. Now I'm letting all the subwoofer do the work, and I'm not letting any bass come out, right? Because originally when I bought those, I didn't think I was going to hide the speakers. I thought I was going to just have everything on a bracket and on the sidewall, right? And then I started looking at more theaters and more theaters, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to see any speakers. So how can I build this, and what can I do? So I talked to theater designers like Wayne Paposa, Anthony Gamani, and they told me, hey, stuff the port and cross them over. They'll work perfectly fine. Right? So I think it's kind of the same principle, with the in walls. If you cross them over at the right point and you're letting the highs and the mid range come through, and not trying to use the woofer portion or the low end portion, I think you'll still get a great result with the in walls.
But if you have Ike putting towers in the field,
hey, I've seen it. Trust me, I've seen some crazy stuff. People hanging towers from their ceiling.
People got subwoofers in their ceiling, man.
Oh man! If you ever watched Michael's video of that guy pushing literally cut a ginormous hole and built a ramp to push up the horn sub 18-inch or 20-inch subwoofers into his ceiling. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
The floor area below that subwoofer is probably clean because nobody walks on that there. Like I'll literally be walking like this in my own house.
Yeah, go
I'm
around.
not taking a chance, man. I'm not taking a chance. Definitely not walking below that stuff, man.
So yeah, that was an interesting topic that we had on our if you'd like to be a member of that Home Theater Hub chat on Facebook, just send us a message and we'll add you in. Send us an email to hometheaterhub at gmail at hometheaterhublive@gmail.com, and we'll get you added to that, or shoot us. We'll look through the chat here if you want to be added to that group, to where we just have a chat every now and then. We'll post pictures of theaters and updates and stuff like that. Love to have you as a part of the a part of the Facebook group too.
Yeah.
So just thought I'd bring that small topic up that we had today. I thought it was a good discussion. What are your guys' thoughts? So we're getting a lot of thoughts from Siphonic and Big Jack. Anybody else? What do you think? What do you think? In walls versus towers. So Todd here says towers for Atmos. Oh man. So yeah, it's people hanging them from chains up there.
Mm. Mm-mm.
So man, oh man.
So also remotes. The unfolded circle has started shipping. The unfolded circle 3. I think I'm starting to see a couple of people who are now showing pictures of it, that they finally have it.
Yeah, there was one that someone posted, because I actually had inquired on one of the forums on Facebook a couple weeks ago, because I was about to pull the trigger, and one of the guys came back and said, I got mine today. But he placed an order almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, those are like the original.
And he got the 3.
Yeah, I think they that was when the 2 came out. I think they just moved on from, which is probably the right thing to do at this point, right?
Yeah.
And now they do have it available for pre-order, and I was hoping by now they would have sent it to probably maybe some of the big YouTube channels, right? I'm not expecting them to send me one, but just to be able to. Oh, you did?
Yeah, and they were like, I said, hey, so how long? Right, thinking they would expand, and they said, yeah, it says it on the website. So that answer scared me. So
yeah, that website information has been there for only God knows how long.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was hoping that they would have sent out some review copies to people to start taking a look at. But now it's available for pre-order, and you can actually complete the process for pre-order. I just don't know, if you're gonna get it. If the people who paid 2 years ago are just getting it now.
Yeah, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait 2 years for my.
Yeah,
you might. Wait a minute.
You might be booked for 2026.
Is that a Halo? What is that?
Control 4 Halo Neo. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna go with. But
camera.
Yeah, it's trying to focus.
Nice. Looks exactly like them. They're made by the same people.
I won't be surprised.
They had a lawsuit.
Probably the same.
I think they were battling like in a lawsuit, Control 4 and them, or something like that. I believe so. But I mean, they're pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah,
that's a fancy Apple TV remote there.
So it's an Apple TV remote with a 3D. Actually, there's a second prototype that's supposed to be getting made by a guy I found on Etsy. But this is a Lutron Pico. Kind of just I ground out this channel and put that in there. And then each button is programmed. I got to switch it over to Home Assistant right now. It's running through Homey, but each button sets a different scene: AC, the projector, the receiver, the lighting. So I've got 4 pre-programmed scenes, and then everything else I just use the Apple TV remote. And that's working pretty good for me so far. Now I'm thinking about getting a Zidoo which I won't be able to use this for that, but that's what I'm using right now is my little Franken remote.
I see. Yeah. So yeah, the Apple remote, it works fantastic. I just have a problem with the actual device. I mean, I am constantly having to reset that damn device.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't understand why. I am. It'll freeze up, and it's a brand new. The Apple TV 4K. It'll freeze up. At least the one in my bedroom. Maybe not the one in my theater. The one in the theater works fine. And the one downstairs, but the one in my bedroom, I'm constantly having to. And granted, it is hooked to an older, one of the first 4K Samsungs that came out. And it's also hooked to a sound bar, like a Bose sound bar. So they don't like each other. They just so it's they don't like to talk very well with each other. So I'm constantly having to fight with it as far as like unplug it. Once I unplug it and then plug it back in and let the CEC reset and all that stuff, it'll work. But
Yeah.
My Apple TV does not control my receiver, my Lindorf. So I was messing with it the other day. I haven't tried to turn it on to see if it would work or not. But I mean, more and more, the Lindorf has an app. I mean, I can literally turn everything on with my app and like nothing. I do have to press the projector button to turn that on. But once I turn that on, I open up the Kaleidoscape app because I use that as a remote, and I open up the Lindorf app just to be able to see what the volume is. But other than that, I don't know. I got Control 4 for the ease of use for my wife more so than me, because I don't mind. I can have that thing fired up and working in no time.
Yeah, and I think that's becoming the biggest factor for me, right? Because I just had them watch the movie before we got live, right? And my daughter had to keep coming to ask me, Daddy, which remote should I use? Because they're watching Apple TV, and it's like I'm like, okay, I got to think of a solution. I got to think of one solution. I'm really thinking of Home Assistant, but I'm going to end up finding somebody to do it for me.
You might want to try that one that either Nick built from the Kansas City group or whatever. I forgot they talked about it on the last Jonathan Von Engel's stream, him and Ryan. I can't remember what the name of the app is, but it's free. You can try that one, or you can try, what is it? The one that Shane uses.
Roomy, the Apple, the Roomy, right?
So, Bodie, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has a problem with their Apple TV. Thank you for the support there.
Hey, what's up, Bodie? Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Hope you're doing good.
Definitely.
Yeah, and now I'm also... Are you able to get the Lumigen to work with your Harmony?
I don't. I have the Harmony, but I've never.
You don't use it. Okay. Yeah,
no, that's probably going to make itself to eBay.
Save that thing, man. It's going to be expensive at some point. Don't sell it right now. Trust me.
I mean, it's like triple what I paid for it now on eBay. So
save it. It's going to be 6 times what's it soon. But
I think somebody's got to come out with something that works pretty soon. I mean, there's so many people that are trying to put something together.
It's gonna be paper use.
Logitech will probably sell that division here or there. They'll probably try to sell it.
They haven't done that now. You think they're gonna?
Yeah, I think they missed the boat on that. If they were going to,
it's a shame. Man. They know the vacuum they created, man.
Yeah. I think eventually, eventually they'll go ahead and sell it.
I feel like it might be tied into their own technology, their proprietary technology, to the point where stripping it and trying to sell it would just be not worth the hassle. Right? If it's
technology for what? Keyboards and
yeah, it could be built into their whole ecosystem in such a way that if they strip it all out and try to sell it, and nobody wants to pay that amount of money for it. So
Yeah. I
we'll
think
see.
somebody would buy it if they put it out there for sure.
We'll see. I might end up with the Control 4. It depends on what reviews we see out there. Stock audio, which of them? The bookshelves behind me? I actually have the review video for that ready. I just need to upload it. Great. I use them. If you're referring to this ones, good. I love them. They're great for my turntable back there and amazing. Thankfully, I don't have enough room for towers in here, else the towers probably would have replaced them, but they're good.
Man, they
I
have.
enjoy them, budget free.
I tell you, when Giles put those blue ones in his theater,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, these are beautiful speakers, And I went and looked at the price. I was like, well, shit, they're not that beautiful.
Yeah. The price can make anything's ugly, man. Yep. They're not cheap.
But
So-
I mean, Giles loves them. He says they're fantastic. I've never heard the ones that he has, but yeah. So
Yeah, I've actually paired the 15. I put it in here to listen, and yes, it does. It does really sound fantastic, especially once you kind of dial it in with a subwoofer. But it's my office space. I don't have room for a subwoofer, so I just took it back into the theater.
There's
You know,
always a subwoofer.
Yeah, there's always room, but I'm just like, I'm listening mostly to vinyl records here, right? I don't know how much bass I want to listen to from my old Kenny G,
I'll
45.
tell you-
your saxophone.
That SES Micro 3000.
Oh yeah, that's a good option. Yeah,
It's so
that's true.
small, and it
It's
packs
fitting.
such a punch.
A punch. That's true. Yeah. Why did I? I just didn't consider that. But yeah.
Martin Logan's got a couple good small subwoofers too. I have the dynamos are pretty good. They pack a good punch for how small they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dyne Audio has a small like dual speaker sub that's supposed to be pretty impressive.
I think Shane has reviewed the most subwoofers out of anybody that I've seen, and as far as a small form factor, I think he's mentioned several times that the Kef subwoofer for a small form factor really, really packs a good punch for that particular and that's what Symphonic said. Look at that Kef.
Yes, I got a Kef Cube 12, which is not small. I got that from my 2-channel on my desk, and it's just really stupid that I've got this big old subwoofer for a 2-channel. But hey, sounds good.
Very good, very good.
The 92 is $2,000. Okay.
So, what else you working on? Ike, you got anything else that you're working on over there?
I'm always working on stuff. The question is, will I
The
ever
question
get
is,
them
when
out?
are you gonna publish it? I guess that's what.
Yeah, but this weekend I'm about
Ike's
to
got all
start-
his videos set to private so he can watch them over and over himself.
Yes. Yes. And that way I don't have to worry about critics. But this weekend we talked about another room that I'm going to be setting up with an entire lineup of speakers. A company was great enough to send me a complete set of speakers along with a power amplifier. So I'm going to be setting up a smaller room that will probably allow me, it's going to be like a game room, but it's going to be a theater, probably 7 point, but it's just a small room. It's just about the same size as my office. And then I will be doing reviews in there and having the kids play video games and all that kind of stuff. So that is my weekend. So there's going to be a build video coming out.
Oh, there we go.
I'm just setting up a smaller room, home theater setup.
I can confirm that it's not Emotiva.
No.
I won't. I won't. I won't. I'm under embargo here. I won't. I won't. I won't. Out Ike on what he's got. It's going to be nice though. I'm looking forward to seeing that video that they're working on. You know, sadly, I won't say sadly, but once I get the LEDs and stuff like that, I'm actually looking forward to setting up what I call like the room in between my theater and where my closet is, because I'm thinking of going 100-inch TV in there, you know, and setting something else up in there also. So I'm looking forward to like a separate type of gaming type area that will also play the same movie.
Yeah.
Or you know, I'll have the same movie playing in both areas. You know, whether I go ultra short throw or I go, you know, like 100-inch TLC.
Yeah.
You know, that what's that? The QM 8K that they got out now. That's
Everyone is raving. Everyone is raving that TV. Man.
I was watching Whisper Status, but he put that thing up against the G5.
Yep.
And it was holding its own. I can tell you that. It was, and for the price,
TCL is not playing, man.
No, they're coming strong. For sure.
Not playing.
We need to get Whisper Status on here. He keeps ducking us, by the way. He tells us he's going to come on here, but he's not. He hadn't come on here yet. We need to get
he's always on the road traveling and all that. So you never tell. They're always moving. Embargo moves. You can't tell.
Definitely.
They're always up to something. So
Tony, you do any messing around with TVs or anything like that?
Yeah. So I turn TVs pretty like quickly. So I don't like to get like the latest and greatest top of the line TV, because I might change it next year. I'm not going to spend $6,000 on the TV and then change it in a year. So I just got a Samsung Frame 75 for my family room. So I have not family room, but my like formal living room where people don't normally put TVs. That's the last room that didn't have a TV. And I've been wanting a frame just because, like, you know, they're just so nice and low profile. And then they were on sale. So I'm like, this is the last room without a TV. So let's get a Samsung frame. So I threw that in there with a Sonos Arc and a couple of Era 100s and the Sonos Sub 3. So I think I've been in there twice now since I've set it up.
It sounds like we got a lot of touring to do in your house. So we might
as well get started, right?
We might as well get started on that, because it sounds like we got a lot of touring to do in this house.
Yeah. So I mean, we can. I don't know if we can get the rest of the house. My wife's probably in her pajamas somewhere downstairs. But,
yeah, we don't want that. So yeah,
we
could do the
theater today, and maybe we can go to the office. The office is kind of cool. It's a little messy, but we can definitely tour the theater whenever you guys say go.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get that started. We can go ahead and transition into that.
And for those of you watching, please do all the great YouTube stuff, right? Like, share, subscribe. It really does help.
Definitely. I think
pushing out the videos to more people. So
absolutely. Yeah. So
if you haven't like button,
if you haven't subscribed to Tony's channel, he can definitely use some help. So let's try to get him up to like 600 subscribers tonight, and then my channel. I'm a little slow on the subscriber count, guys. I'm going to do a little begging here. We're still sitting at 800. I think I was at like 80, 802, 803 last week. So any of you guys out there that haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm also looking at doing something with these videos that we have that we're producing, you know, like the lives. I'm actually looking at possibly cutting these up, you know, and maybe just make them just a straight tour and then post them on, so it'll shorten them up a little bit, maybe make some shorts out of it and stuff like that. But I'm adventuring into the world of AI.
Well, go ahead and refresh that. You should be at 807.
Oh, there we go. Let me see. Let's try to refresh that one now.
So I'm definitely
there we go. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tony should have gotten 1 or 2 subs too. So
So
can-
since I put out the theater video, plus I've also been like less shy. Like people like I don't let friends and family like share stuff on social media because I try and keep my YouTube stuff on the down low. But I got in the past week and a half, I think I've gotten 100 subscribers.
wow.
Which usually I average about maybe 15 a month. So to get 100 in like less than 14 days was pretty wild. So I think I'll be doubling down on the home theater stuff. I'm still going to do everything, but you know, the home theater seems to be getting a lot of attention. So you know,
Yeah, everybody likes to hear you talk about tearing down your theaters. It's like,
yeah. I think a lot of people have been there, and plus, it's something in my house is not that's not done. You actually, well, it's done, but you actually get to see it redone. So, but I'm gonna move the camera here.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm gonna pull up some of this AI that we were that I was messing with to see what the audience thinks.
Cool. I'm gonna try and be
All right, so
again there.
I was saying that I was messing with some AI today. Let me see here. See if this is. There we go. So just trying to come up with a theme for the Horizon Home Theater. So with this one here, we let me see here. Where's it at? How do I get back to that? Here we go. So this one's actually animated to where it, you know, like Horizon Home Theater, a couple cameras, you know, shine on the screen and create a horizon. And this one was just a still of that. And then my wife, she really liked this one at the bottom here with all of the
she got you with all the barcodes and the creases out there, man.
with all the cameras and stuff like that. So just looking to create a banner for the YouTube, or maybe even like a new intro or outro for the channel. So tell me what you guys think. I put this together with AI. I mean, it literally, I just typed in what I wanted. I said two cameras pointing, waving their light beams to create a horizon on a home theater, and bam, this is what it came up with in like 5 minutes. I was so impressed. So I mean,
AI for you, man.
yeah, man. I mean, it's something that I've not messed with at all, you know. So I'm interested to start diving into this a little bit more, and possibly like feeding AI our stream and seeing how it would cut up. You know, just tell it to cut certain scenes out and start posting some shorts and stuff for me. So, but yeah,
Nice.
Ike, you deal with any AI stuff?
Every day in my real life.
Every
So
day
I
in your
get
real
tired
life?
of it
Oh, okay.
outside of my real life. So, yes. Yeah. But yeah, nothing. It's a powerful, it's the future, it's the present, and there's going to be so much we can do with it. So yeah, all of what you're thinking can be accomplished really quickly. So
Yeah.
we'll look into it.
Yeah, I don't really dabble in it too much. So it's like, you know, I spray bugs for a living and deliver cookies. There's no true science to that.
They are
You
more
know,
dangerous than.
I mean,
Hey, the AI might take over your bugs one day.
AI can figure that out.
AI is gonna take over your bugs, man.
well, there is a science in it, I guess.
You're
we
gonna
could
wake
take
up,
this-
spray your bugs, and they're gonna have gas masks on like this.
You say the bugs are going to get AI.
Yeah, that's true. How to repel. So yeah, no, but yeah, no, I you know, it's something new for me. I'm an old dog trying to learn some new tricks. So, but yeah, how about you, Tony? You deal with AI at all?
I do. So I've got the paid version of Chat GPT 4.0. And you know, so I've messed around with like the video generation, but I usually use it for research. It'll actually help you script a YouTube video if you want. Right?
Mhm.
You can ask. So I've trained my AI assistant. I call her Jarvisha. like Jarvis from Iron Man. So she responds to her name. I've actually used it at work, and like I'll ask questions, like we're doing like research on something real quick, and I'm like, hey, what's the population change in this county, blah 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 blah, and she's like, oh, it's been this change from 2022 to 2024, such and such percent, yada yada yada. So I use it for all types of dumb stuff, like work, but also making crazy logos for people. Like anyone needs a logo, I'm like, I'll have my AI do it in like 10 seconds, create a logo. Like I want a wolf with a laser on their back, like going up a mountain, carrying a flag that says, Falcons. Okay, cool. So yeah, I use Chat GPT for a bunch of that stuff. I've been using the free version of Gemini just because I think I might be able to stop paying for Chat GPT.
Chat GPT, right? Yeah.
And then Canva, and I use CapCut for video editing. So you've got some AI tools in there, but like my main AI platform, I use Chat GPT 4.0.
Okay, very good.
I
use Chat GPT mainly for my negative tone in emails when I'm frustrated. Please reword this for me so it comes out a lot nicer.
That's one thing I won't use AI for. I don't want AI like dictating my tone. I know a lot of people use that. Like you soften the tone or make it more.
I'm in corporate America, man. You got to watch what you say.
Hey, just put LOL at the end of the message, man.
Yeah. Sometimes
I want them to feel me.
Yeah, no, I had a conference call today, and I got an email back with the summary from whom I was talking to, and they said, I guess I told her the way that they were doing something was ineffective, and she didn't like that. So I didn't mean it to come across that way, but I mean, what they were doing was ineffective. So,
you got to start with a compliment. Like, hey, that is a great idea, but have you thought about this? Right?
Usually I lead with the with them stuff, right? I let them make the decisions. I kind of lead them. I manage like 50 some people, so and I let them give me the ideas so that I can hold them more accountable, right? So it's like, okay, well, you told me you could do this, this, and this, but and try to just lead the horse to the water, right? So
you got to take the soft skill classes, man.
Yeah, trust me. I've already been signed up for them.
Or delegate it to AI, right?
Oh man. Okay, let's go ahead with the tour, Tony. I know a lot of people are itching to see that, so we'll put you on full screen, and we can do a quick mic check and then see how that goes.
Cool.
Solo layout.
All right.
How do you want to do that?
Hopefully the audio is good. I had to disconnect my mic to get power here on my Mac, but all right. So I'm just gonna kind of rotate the webcam. Sorry for my shaky camera work. I have a very fancy camera over here, but I've never used it for streaming. So, so that's my front sound stage there. So that is a 120-inch acoustically transparent screen that I built about 10 years ago. Built the frame, stretched it, and it's got a beveled red velvet border around it, which is I like it. I think I did a really good job, but showing its age. And then, as I mentioned, it's got decorative kind of the decorative border there. You can see you've got the red LEDs in it. They struggle for focus, which looks really cool, but that's a lot of real estate that I'm kind of giving up for screen. So that's actually I'm going to build that wall out more. Right now, the screen, I don't know if you can see it, but the screen is recessed kind of in between those two tower cabinets. So I'm actually going to build that out flush, and then the screen is going to go edge to edge, or not almost edge to edge, and that'll allow me to go from 120 to 135.
Yeah, I think you got to save a little bit of room for the wainscoting there, right? So that way, like you said, it'll probably 4 or 5 inches on each side will be perfect, right?
Yep. And then so down below, you can see that I've got 2 9U racks and they're on rolling casters, and I was actually going to put those on found some 400-pound slides to pull them out, but
Wow.
that's actually going to change. So I've got my Marantz, what's that, AV7706 in there. There's a PS3 Emotiva 11-channel amplifier in there, Apple TV in there, and probably something else. And then to the left and right of the racks, I've got my SVS SB16s that I love. Actually, there's some Netflix coming on there. And yeah, that's the front soundstage. So as I mentioned before, this is a 7. Let's not do that. This is a 7.2.4. So currently my front soundstage, and that's a trailer, so I don't think that's going to get us any copyright issues, but I'm going to turn that off. I'm in the process of switching from Klipsch to Focal. Wow, look at that, not focusing. So let's maybe go this way. So currently I have my Focal Vestia 2s that I just put in last week behind the screen. And I currently have my Klipsch. My side surrounds are these Klipsch, I think it was like R500As left and right. And in the rear, I actually have full towers for my rears currently, which obviously from a seating position that is not ideal. And I've got homemade acoustic panels actually from my previous theater, and 2 from there. And then actually in the corner, I've got my YouTube set up here in the corner. So yeah, look at that. And then from a seating standpoint, I've got they look like Valencia Tuscanys, but they're actually made by Seatcraft. I went with these because, and I guess I'll try and get you a better shot. I went with those because they actually have bass shakers built in. I just had to buy the amplifier.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty nice seat. They got the power headrest, which were actually really important to me. And then they've got the blue lights that no one uses. And then you actually can see some of my Focal speakers are coming in there for my surrounds. So I got some boxes there waiting for me to install. And then the rear, actually, let's jump to the projectors. I've got a Epson with the 5040 UB. Still rocking that for now, but I'm probably going to go laser as a part of this upgrade. And then my the rear, I've got a window back there, as I mentioned, popcorn machine, and then the curtains that kind of help with sound absorption a little bit. Soffits with some LED lights that I did DIY LEDs. I did 8-9 years ago, and then just a bunch of just random theater decor that I've acquired over the years. I'd imagine it's probably really shaky because I'm holding the GorillaPod. So my apologies, but that is pretty much the room. Probably went fast. Probably skipped some stuff. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. But
the acoustic panel, the red one, is that a DIY? The one
yes.
It looks like you have a movie frame on it.
Yes. Yeah. So those are DIY. From, like I said, those are from a previous theater. Actually, might even be from 2 theaters ago. And that's actually before YouTube. So there's no rock wool in them or anything like that. That just I built them like what I thought they should look like. So they're serving no purpose from an absorption or diffusion standpoint. They're just really decorative boxes.
Yeah, and honestly, with the glass poster on the front, it's definitely wouldn't be utilizing as much as it should for absorption too.
100%.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks beautiful though. I love the way you got it, kind of bordered out with that poster frame on top of that. So it looks great. Love the old time. It's sad that you are going to go, not sad for you, but sad that you're going to go wider on the screen because you're going to lose some of that decor that you have there in the front, with the old projector and the Iron Man mask and stuff like that. That definitely makes character in a room, that type of stuff like that. So but it's, I can definitely understand why you would want to fill that as much as you can, to give yourself a bigger screen there.
Yeah, and plus I've had it, for a long time, right? Like it's time for a change. Plus, I've seen some folks with blacked out rooms, and this is not going to be a blacked out room. It's going to be very dark.
Mhm.
The wainscoting is probably going to be black, and then the I'm going to do some form of panel wall in either a dark wood or a blue. But I've seen just how much more immersive it looks when the screen surround is dark, right, and the screen just kind of disappears. And then also the other part I didn't really mention that. So subwoofers are coming out. I'm going to actually do more than likely 2 Martys behind the screen.
Oh,
The
nice.
SVSs are going to the rear of the room. That lower section there, that where the trim is, that's actually going to drop down to about maybe 10 inches off the ground to bring, because as I mentioned earlier, my front soundstage, I've got them angled in with these wedges that I bought online, like these foam wedges. I'm actually going to lower the front soundstage as low as possible. So where the subwoofers and the racks are, those are actually just going to be drawers. It's going to be just high enough to build drawers. I'm going to have a rack at the rear of the room. FPS is going to be rear of the room. That way, my front sound stage is going to be, the tweeters are going to be as close as possible to ear level. Because right now they're not at ear level, obviously. And then I'm going to, obviously have a couple of 18 inches subwoofers behind the screen. So I'm going to have 4 subwoofers, obviously 2 discrete, so it'll still be a .2. But I'll have 4, 2 16-inch, 2 seal 16s, and 2 seal 18s.
Nice.
So
you're gonna do the mini Marty.
I'm gonna do the mini Martys. Yep.
Yeah, those the full Martys are ginormous, man.
Yeah, they are. And I think from a depth standpoint, I don't think I'd probably still do the 218s, or I think they even have like a 221. But I think just from a depth standpoint, I wouldn't be able to pull that off. So
what are you going to use to power those? Do you know?
Crowns, probably.
Crown.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with the crown.
Yeah.
So do you have any, and I'm sorry because I had nature called for me, so I had to jump up real quick. Do you have any shakers or any anything like that in your chairs?
Yeah, so the Seatcraft chairs, they come with transducers, at least the models that I bought. They came with transducers built in. You just had to buy the amplifier separate. So underneath this bar top that I built that I'm sitting at, there's the amplifier is sitting under there. So there's transducers in there, but I've got them dialed back, like way back, because I found that they were distracting, like they were competing and losing against the subwoofers, and it was just like this distracting like tingle in your butt. So I've got them dialed back where I think they complement the subwoofer a little bit, like you get a little bit of tactile feel, but it's not like the wimpy tactile feel. If I turn them up to like 80%, it's more for distraction. So they're dialed back to maybe 30%, and I think they age just a little bit. But at some point, I might change these seats just because I've had them for a while, and I might try something new. But I looked at the Valencias; these look very similar. I don't think I'm losing anything from a quality standpoint, but they are a little squeaky. Just full disclosure, they're a little squeaky. I may take them apart and like grease the hinges, and that might help me keep them for another year or so. But we'll see. But they to answer your question, yeah, they do have transducers built into them.
It's probably the transducers that are wearing them out.
Well, no, since I got them, it's the sweet spot chair in particular, as you recline it, as it goes through the motion, it's very smooth. Like it doesn't feel like cheap or anything. It just has a squeak. So if I disassemble it, I can probably put some like white lithium grease or something in there, and do away with that. But other than that, I mean, the Seatcraft chairs have been pretty good quality. I just got a little squeak to them.
Yeah, I have a Seatcraft also. I have a row of 4 of them, so I'm
Nice.
happy with them. They definitely put me to sleep. They're too comfortable. So
now, do yours have the transducers in them as well?
No, mine do not have the transducers. So
okay.
I bought mine off of eBay. They were on a closeout, so it was like I got 4 chairs for $2,100, man,
Oh
with
wow.
with lumbar and headrest, right? So, it's full recline, all that stuff. So I got a hell of a deal on them, I think, because I don't think you can get a chair now for $2,000.
No.
It's so I got 4 of them for that kind of deal. I'm always looking for deals. So future upgrades for your theater, you were talking about going darker, right? Going darker, going bigger with the projector,
Yep.
bigger with the projector screen, possibly laser projector. You mentioned. Did you mention a brand that you're thinking of going to for that?
Yeah, so I mean, this is my second or third Epson projector. So I was looking at like the 11,000 or 12,000.
12,000 Epson.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. There's been all this hype about around the Valerian, and I've been thinking, just for trying something different. I mean, there's a part of my Neanderthal brain was like, it's smaller. I got a big beefy. It's taken me all these years to buy a big beefy projector that just feels like it's a big boy projector, right? So I feel kind of weird about going back to like a little, projector. But I've been hearing some great things around the Valerian, so it's on the list. But if not, the safe option, or like a Sony, I think it's like the 5000 ES, just to try something completely different. But we'll see.
I tell you what, that a lot of people are talking about the if you're gonna black out your room a little bit more, make it a little bit darker, like you were talking about that JVC, the 5, and the what is it, the NZ5, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
for what it is for their entry projector. That thing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So,
So the other thing I'm considering is, because my Epson's, it's really loud,
Mhm.
and if I were to build a hush box, like, so this is the exterior wall behind me, so I can't do like outside of the room projection. And if I were to build a hush box, it would be like this big ugly thing, which I
Mhm.
mean, I no offense to anyone who has hush boxes, some people are able to kind of like make theirs a little bit more sleek. Just the way I have my projector set up, the box would have to come down like 20 something inches into the room. I think it would just aesthetically wouldn't look good. And also I don't think it would function that well. It'd probably just heat up my projector and shave off some time off of the life, more so than quieting it. So that's the other thing I'm looking at is, I'm going to do some measurements and compare the sound, right? If I can shave a few decibels off of the ambient noise or the noise pollution in the room, I'm going to factor that in my projector selection.
Yeah, I don't know if you're on the Facebook groups, but there's a guy making hush boxes. They're not cheap,
Yeah, they're not
but
cheap.
they are.
They look great.
Seem to be very well built.
Well built. I don't know about functionality, but
Right,
well
right.
built. They
Yeah,
are.
and I know there's some people, but they're on. I'll have to get you a link to it once we were off the stream here or whatever. But it looks, some people are buying them, and they're saying that it does really well. But they're, like I said, they're not cheap at all.
Yeah, and I've
But
seen some people like build theirs and they use like a AC Infinity for ventilation.
Yeah.
My network rack in my or network cabinet that I built, it's a piece of furniture that I built a network rack into. I use AC Infinity ventilation for that, and it is relatively quiet, but it's in an office and across my office. Like, my seating position in this room is directly underneath my projector. So I don't know if it is avoidable, but we'll see. It's on the list, but definitely the first thing is the sound. Second thing is the screen. The third thing is the darkening of the room. The fourth thing is the carpet. And there's point ones and point twos kind of within that. Like, I'm changing some of the lighting. I'm building some sconces from scratch. I'm changing the door. So kind of after all of that is the projector. So
Yeah.
that's not going to be
You have a full build planned out, man. It
Yeah.
looks like a complete rebuild.
Yeah, the lowering of the front soundstage is probably going to be the most significant thing. Well, not probably, it is going to be the most significant thing. So, yeah, that's pretty substantial there.
yeah, Yeah, so that's one of them. The one that I was talking about. It is beefy, but
Yeah. But you see how like that's in the rear of the room?
mhm,
Like so in my two rooms ago, I had a hush box, a homemade hush box I built myself, and it was at the rear of the room. And I had a panel ceiling, which I kind of have panels on the ceiling, but they're different. And I built the panels that I had on the ceiling, I had built around the box, and it because it was at the rear of the room, it kind of blended in. My projector is like 25% into the room. You know what I mean?
right,
So if it was at the rear of the room, it would probably blend in more.
yeah,
But mine is
yeah,
like, well,
definitely. I mean, with JVC, I think you need a little bit. If you were to go to JVC route, I think you'll need a little bit more throw distance too. So compared to the Epson, so you might wind up having to put it. But if you stay with the Epson, I think the throw distance are the same between the 12,000 and the one that you have now.
gotcha.
But yeah, no, I mean, so
Richard is asking what you're changing your bed layers to.
Yeah. So it's a hodgepodge of focals. So focal Vestia 2s for LCR, and then a combination of focal in-wall and well, I guess that's not bed layer, but in-wall 100 and 300s. So my sides are going to be 100. They're actually sitting right there, and I've got two 300s coming from my rear. Just I have silly reasoning. I'm not going to get into it. Silly reasoning why I felt that I need the 300s in the rear, but yeah, so it's going to be the 300s in the rear and 100s in the side, and then for the Atmos. I know they asked about bed layer, but for the Atmos, I have the I think it's the ICW 6s, if I'm not mistaken, for the center Atmos when I go 6 channel, and then I'm doing the 7s that have the angle. So I'm going to have different size speakers in the Atmos, but it's so I can get the angle for the front, angle for the rear, and I'm going with the slightly smaller ones that don't have the angle for the center Atmos.
so these are the some of these are the 100s that you're going with here for the
Yes.
side surrounds.
So those are the sides, yeah. So that's going to have your single, I think 6-inch, and the 300s are going to have your dual, I think 5s.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Very nice.
2 of those sitting right there. And again, I'm coming from a Klipsch, so definitely a completely different sound and feel. But, it's gonna be good.
So let's see what the 300s look like.
No, it's not. Is that it?
ICW 6 right here, 300s.
No, that's not it. That's not it. Actually, I'll tell you right now. Maybe I misspoke. I thought there were 300s, but it's not those.
Yeah, because I think the 300 have the different pattern.
Yeah, no, it's not the 300. They're also 100. They're just the double. I guess it's a double 5. So they're the F100 IWLCR 5s.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're still so they're all going to be in the 100 series.
I see.
Yeah, so those are going to be the rears.
This is coming from Crutchfield here.
Yeah.
So the 100 LCRs 5s
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, so they're meant to be LCRs, but I mean, if they're good enough to be LCRs, they're definitely good enough to be rears.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So those look nice. Yeah, I was a little worried about you because I think the 300s they use a different material type for the cone.
Yeah.
And they also use a different. I think they have like different patterns. They call them like the W pattern and the V pattern and stuff like that. So it uses different stuff for their. So I was a little
Yes. I'm
worried
gonna
about.
have I'm gonna have that problem with the Atmos just because the 100 series Atmos, like you can see right there, your fourth tab over, those aren't they're not angled. You can't angle them. So I had to go with the next one up for my front and rear Atmos. The ones directly overhead are fine, but I need the angles for the front and the rear Atmos. So
Yeah.
for those I had to mix it up, and I believe those are the 300 series because they have the different patterns.
Angle to them. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if for an Atmos, I don't think I'm going to hear the difference between a fiber cone versus a whatever. But yeah, that's
Nice.
the new babies.
Very nice.
Yeah.
There's the ICW. Those are the end ceilings there.
Yeah, you see none of those. You can't even angle the tweeter, right? So you have to go to the next one up to get the angle. So
I see.
yeah, and those are I just bought those a couple days ago.
Okay, let's see. Do we have any more questions? Don't look like it.
Well, I'm excited for your new journey. I mean, I'm excited for your theater there, man. You did a great job, building that out. That front, I love the decor in the front. With the knickknacks and stuff you have there. I actually, I went to my mother-in-law's house a little while ago, and I actually picked up this little old RCA projector. It's got like a reel that goes back here and stuff like that. So I'm gonna use that for some decor myself. So yeah, she's like, "Do you want this?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I want this thing." She's like, "Do you use?" I said, "No, it's just gonna sit there for decor." But yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put some rubber feet on there because you're gonna rattle it. That's the thing. Like a lot of my decor, I had to use either museum putty or those little rubber feet because when the bass is kicking, everything just starts to rattle or falls off, falls off the wall. So which is a good problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna put all my decor outside, so it'll be like the pre-theater area. That's going to be where I was talking about putting like that 100-inch, TV, and it's going to be a shared room for my son and myself. It's set up snacks for the theater and then like a game type of area, toy type of area for him too. So it'll be a multi-purpose. It's my dining room. We don't use it. We have a dining room table between. I have an open concept, and we have the living room, and then there's a space between the living room and the kitchen that we have a 100-inch table. That's our dining room. And then we have a bar, like the island and stuff like that. And then the kitchen all falls behind the island. So it's one huge space. So that's what we use for our dining room. So I literally just have a room that's been used for storage for home theater gear for the past Go ahead, Ike. How many years? 4 years?
Too long. I don't even remember.
I'll bring the one that bring the heat to me today.
Yeah.
So
it's a part of the journey.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, Tony, we definitely appreciate you being a guest on the show. And speaking of being a guest on the show, if you would like to be a guest on the show, shoot us an email at hometheaterhublive@gmail.com. I can't read today for some reason, but hometheaterhublive@gmail.com. And please don't forget, like Ike said, to do all that great stuff, like, share, subscribe to all of our channels. So we definitely appreciate everyone joining this evening. Let's just go through the comments real quick, make sure that we don't have any further questions before we decide to sign off here this evening. Were you able to star anything or see anything that needs to be
covered? I think we covered every questions, and
yeah, definitely don't want to leave anybody out there if you had.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. And Tony, just hang out for a few seconds once we're done with the live. And
yeah, definitely. So we're talking. This is when we were talking about the hanging towers. Hang some cargo nets underneath of them. All right, everyone. We definitely appreciate you joining. We'll see you next week, and maybe possibly Paul will make it a little bit more interesting next week because we'll have some camping stories.
yep.
So, Tony, thank you so much again. Appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Todd. I see a comment there from Todd. Thanks, everyone. It was fun.
Thank you. Hang out for a minute, Tony.
I'll be here.
Let's go ahead and end the stream.